Ludicrous Feed is proudly sponsored by Hankook Tyre, Driving Emotion, and Carloop, data to empower Australia's EV revolution. Hey everyone, I'm Tom, this is Joy.
Hello.
And we are back in the Xpeng G6 for the second part of the software update 5.8.0. And this is the drive part of the update. And it's promised us that it has improved the Xpilot experience. So we'll be the judge of that as we take you on the M2 motorway to an event we're attending today. So stay tuned. Alrighty, welcome to the drive section of the software update 5.8.0 in the Xpeng G6. We've got me and Joy for company today. It's going to be about a 20-minute drive, mostly on the motorway on the M2 and M7 in Sydney. It's not going to drive itself. It's not XNGP. It's just Xpilot, which is basically just active cruise control and auto steer. This is interesting because this is now on the back. We kind of split this update into two. So the first part we went through all the release notes, right? So you might have seen that. And now we're doing the drive section. It's promised to improve the Xpilot experience. So we'll see that, see if it improves very shortly. But we are bookending last weekend, which you may have seen. We experienced Tesla's full self-driving system in Australia, which is, supervised, which was quite an experience for Joy and myself. We've got 6 of those videos, so check those out as well. And I guess this is a call out also to Xpeng, because we know they're developing the XNGP platform as well in China, and apparently we're going to be released in Europe very soon. So we're calling out to you guys in Xpeng to also release it in Australia, because we would like to see how it compares against Tesla FSD now that we have experienced that in Australia.
Yeah. I mean, Riz has sat in it, and already experienced it in China. So we know it's definitely available and working. When we were guests with Xpeng in Hong Kong, they did say that with the rollout of all of these sort of self-driving features, it's more to do with working with local authorities to get approval for all of these things, rather than any holdback with the actual tech itself. Like, the tech is good enough. It's just about, I guess convincing is a strong word, working with the authorities to get the right approvals. So, yeah. And
given that Tesla has released FSD in Australia, it's allowed us and other influencers and content creators to check it out. It means that, Australian regulators are happy for that kind of tech to be tested here. So surely Xpeng will be allowed here as well. Geopolitical issues aside, but the tech itself should be allowed in.
But you would hope at least some sort of limited testing for, staff and things like that.
Yeah.
If maybe it's already occurring and we just don't know.
Yeah. Look, the way I understand how FSD works is that it maps the road around you in the hardware for in the car, and then it'll see whether it's worked out, whether it's seen that before in the past, whether through training on local roads or even from data from overseas, and then it'll just take either right, left, or straight, the direction as a best fit from what it's seen on in previous training.
But the interesting one was the video that they showed us in Hong Kong was of a car that has only ever driven left-hand drive, and then they brought it from China into Hong Kong, and it was driving. It immediately worked out. I need to drive on the right-hand side of the road here. Wasn't that the video they showed?
Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it? That's what I've always wondered. You plonk the car somewhere in the middle of nowhere that's not been before.
It worked
Will
it
it
out.
Still cope? It looks like it does.
Yeah. Obviously that was a highly edited video. I'm sure they only showed us all the best bits. But still, that's pretty impressive.
There were some situations on the weekend where it didn't quite drive the way I thought it would, or the way I would drive, or a typical Sydney driver would drive. And then someone told me it's because it relies on not just the Tesla drivers around the area who've done this road, because then you just get too much of a spectrum. You get bad drivers, you get decent drivers. But it relies also on the training, because they have had just FSD trainers in Australia in the last 12 months doing routes around Australia, common routes. But obviously those drivers can't cover every single patch of land in Australia. So it must have done some guesswork or some best fit work through the AI, through the hardware. Look, obviously we're not software engineers. can only put together what we've read online as well and seen comments about the software and hardware around this. So I assume Xpeng will be very similar in that regard, how it works with its AI to do self-driving. So yes, that's all great to know the theory, but at the end of the day, I always say it's about the experience, the human end user experience, and that's what we're about. We're to test Xpeng's XNGP up against Tesla FSD, against Huawei, against Geely. They're doing something as well, so we will do that for you on the channel as they come filtering through to Australia, which is very exciting for us. And look, I'm willing to admit that is the future of mobility. It'll make bad drivers much better.
Isn't future mobility Xpeng's slogan? Did you?
Oh, I should also say, yes, as a disclaimer, this car is a loan car from Xpeng, okay, from TrueEV. So thank you, TrueEV, for loaning us this vehicle. But we always give, honest feedback as much as we can. They've never told us to. They've never vetted our videos. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they've allowed us to speak freely on the car. Yeah. So at the end of the day, how does it improve our lives? Does it make me a better driver? Not yet with FSD. I don't think it has. I don't think it's made Joy a better driver yet either. I think both of us are better than the current software, but again, happy to be proven wrong over time as each update is released and as the AI is trained over and over again over time.
It's funny, but yeah, if you're in an area you know well, you always question the decisions like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? But then if you're in an area you don't know as well, I felt like I was like, okay, I'll just sit back and let the car do its thing. Yeah. I
guess, a true test is to bring it somewhere in Sydney or somewhere in Australia where we've not been before or not very familiar with, to consider, would I have done that?
I mean, there were kind of some of the roads in Alexandria I've definitely never driven before, and I guess I could technically say I've still never driven those roads. Yeah. But autopilot or Xpilot is different kettle of fish, and that I am very, very happy using, to the point that if I have to do a long drive and it doesn't have it, I will probably get kind of cranky.
Yeah, definitely. We did that with that autopilot in the Volvo when it died on us, and it was not a pleasant experience, having to rely back on old tech.
And interestingly, it's less efficient as well. Like what do you call the efficiency? What is it called?
Economy, I guess. Yeah, drive efficiency.
Human drivers are not as good as
no.
as the car.
Yeah. I mean, that is a completely different software. That's basically just very basic tech, right? Just relying on, it's reactive. It's just relying on the lane markings, the speed limit. It's not, there's no AI to shape the road around it in its simulation. So that's why when people ask us in the comments, any phantom braking and all that, I don't know, I don't think it's as relevant because it's a completely different software, FSD, compared to autopilot. I assume XNGP for Xpeng is also very different to the Xpilot software. So I mean, testing this is like old tech now. It's not the future, I think.
But it might be old tech, but I reckon it's a lot more usable. Like, way more people would be using Xpilot than they, like, even if XNGP came out.
Yeah.
I think, people would be more comfortable using Xpilot.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. All right, speaking of Xpilot, let's engage. So double tap on the right stalk. So it is like Tesla in that regard. There's no bing or bong. I always forget, is it right or left to zip up? No, that's the media volume. So
but you get a visual indicator that something's happened because that changes, isn't it, in front of you, what you can see.
Yeah, so I've got a drive cluster screen here, so I can see what I'm doing. 100. You can see my nav, but you may not be able to see my current speedometer. I don't have a head-up display. So what I really want to test is lane change. So it apparently fights you less now. So, oh, sorry, that's my mistake. I actually lane changed manually. So I guess that's one example of how to lane change. But apparently you can also auto lane change, and it fights you less. It sort of allows you to lane change better. So I will be the judge of that very shortly once I get past these cars. It's funny, with the FSD, after a while, Joy and I had our hands on our laps because it just got too tiring trying to do this, because we just sort of trusted it a bit more. But I think with Autopilot or Xpilot, I actually prefer to have my hands here because I don't trust it as much anymore.
Yeah, like I know with Xpilot, I always just kind of loosely held the wheel. I never let go of the wheel at all.
Yeah. Like what I'm doing now.
But okay, to be fair, the difference as well is that if I'm using Xpilot, chances are I'm going at 100 or 110 kilometers an hour. So even like a split second is not worth the time difference between getting my hands off my lap and onto there, right? Whereas with the FSD Supervised, the car was generally going at about 40, I would say, most of the time. So that gives a lot more time in terms of reaction time. Like, would you really want to take your hands off a steering wheel when the car's going at 100 kilometers an hour? Like, no.
Well, see, that's something we didn't test. We didn't go faster than 80 in any situation during our weekend. We just didn't have time to
Not
go
only
out of
that,
town.
honestly, I don't think I would have wanted to. I would have gripped the steering wheel so hard it would have taken off FSD.
Well, I think the next test we get from Tesla, we will definitely go on the highway.
Can we let other people do those?
I want to do it. I'll do it. I'm happy to do it. You know me, I'm always happy to beta test. Okay, so another thing okay, here we go. Auto lane change, let's see. So another thing that, so it's not changing lanes for some reason. I'll just do it. So another thing that I found with FSD Supervised was that, okay, maybe it did auto lane change. I'm not sure.
Maybe you need to nudge it and then it'll go.
Yeah.
Is that what auto lane change means for Xpilot?
So another thing that FSD Supervised didn't require was the you know in Xpilot or Autopilot you have to keep turning the wheel a little bit just to nudge it. FSD did not require
still there.
that.
Yeah.
Just drove.
You can keep your. What I found it needed though is that your feet needed to be in like where the pedals are. There's like some sort of camera or something there.
Maybe a sensor?
Spotting, or sensor spotting where your feet are. Because sometimes, like, if I'm in Xpilot, I will actually, like, instead of my feet being in front like this, I'll actually move my feet back a bit to
like
stretch.
mine, right now. I'm just actually putting my feet closer to my body.
You can, I don't think you could ever do that with FSD Supervised. It would switch off.
Oh, really?
I think so.
I guess I didn't do this. It would
disappear.
I had it very close
Yeah,
the
it would
whole time.
disappear. Because if I'm on a long road trip, I will move my feet like back here and adjust it a little bit and do this and stuff like that, right? And then move my feet back. But the thing is, if you're using it, your chances are you're using it because the car's driving itself at 100, 110 kilometers an hour.
It's nagging me now, just right on cue.
Yeah, well, that's because you. So yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, you're going at 100, 110 kilometers for, possibly like an hour straight without taking a left turn, without taking a right turn, without slowing down, without speeding up. So definitely, being able to move your feet like that, I actually think makes it safer because then you don't get as cramped, right? Like your muscles don't get cramped having to hold. So if you need to react to a situation, I feel like your muscles are more like ready, they're not fatigued. Yeah, that's what I'm getting at. Like your body isn't in a position that it gets fatigued.
Yeah, you've got high level monitoring, so you're monitoring other things rather than just concentrating on trying to drive the vehicle.
Yeah, and then your body's more primed to react to something because it's not fatigued from having to do this the whole time and keep a certain speed limit.
Yeah, I think FSD would be great in the Supervised, or XNGP would be great in just long drives like this.
But you've already got Xpilot, which is kind of already good enough.
Kind of, but you still have to make decisions to overtake and stuff. So if I had AI to go, okay, get around the truck.
Yeah, maybe.
I think that'd be, again, just removing that stress one more time, right? So that you can concentrate on evasive maneuvers if needed. So I think that could be our next test for XNGP or FSD Supervised, is to take it for a day trip.
I think the benefits of like XNGP are more to do with being on sort of like urban roads, because for me, like the sort of like having to think about overtaking, that sort of higher critical thinking of like planning when to overtake, but for what's ahead of you versus the cars that are like speeding up behind you as well. I feel like that's the kind of thing that keeps me interested when I'm driving a long distance, like over like a 3-hour drive or something like that. Like, I don't want to kind of like switch off, if that sort of makes sense. I kind of don't want the car to make those choices for me. Or maybe I'm just saying that now because I don't know.
We haven't experienced it, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the thing. We were saying all this stuff before we experienced FSD, and then now it's changed our mindset, right?
That's true. Yeah.
See, I'm now getting sick of the nag because I haven't had to nag FSD, like react to a nag from FSD all weekend. This system is still nagging you.
I think in general though, you tend to get nagged more than I do. I'm just saying, I'm obviously more like an ideal driver.
Oh, please. But
it's a competition, isn't it, between the two of us?
Well, that's the thing. FSD Supervised. Suddenly, if you trust the system more and more, it becomes like a game, right? So you don't want to intervene as much anymore, just to see how far you can take it. I guess it's a trust exercise, right? You're getting trained while the car's getting trained at the same time. It's quite an interesting exercise over time. I guess you have to trust the machine over time, right? That's the thing, right? With some of the rideshare vehicles you sit in these days, would you be more comfortable having them use FSD Supervised or XNGP?
Actually, yeah, I think I would
too.
Yeah.
Have them monitoring the vehicle rather than trying to drive.
That's actually a really good use case for it, because then it's kind of like, which, shout out to certain Golden Arches family restaurant, but when you're on a road trip, you kind of know what you're going to get when you see that, and it's kind of a relief, because no matter where you are, I wouldn't say in the world, but at least certainly in Australia, right? You know that you're going to receive certain level of quality. Now, I use the word quality in terms of like, a range of what you think you're going to get. And I would rather that than something that I've never had, like a random shop that I maybe don't know anything about. You know what I mean? I know at least there's like protocols and standards and things that they have to abide by.
Yep. So just back on this. So I tried to lane change. It didn't let me. I heard a chime I've not heard before, but it didn't fight me. So that is an improvement, right? It said it wasn't appropriate at the time, even though I turned the steering wheel a little bit. It just went not appropriate. Didn't fight me as it was coming. So I think that is proving that has improved.
I think, because I think these generally tend to be too cautious, as in like if there is anything at all that it can see behind, it'll be like, no, it's definitely not safe to lane change. That's what I found about most of them. But if you think like, nah, actually I can do the lane change, and you can override that, isn't it?
I used to hate that feeling, and not just in this car, but other systems that propose like auto lane change. If it doesn't work, it'll just fight you, and you just like feel like an idiot as you're fighting this car.
Or that really awkward thing where you're indicating but the car's not doing anything. So it must look so strange to another vehicle, because they'd just be like, how you'd be like, do they even know they've got the indicator on? Like, why are they indicating and they're not doing anything? And it's that really awkward feeling of being in a vehicle that's going at 100 kilometers an hour. You're indicating, but the car is not doing anything. Like, it's not changing lanes. It's not.
Now, speaking of indicating, when I changed the lane and finished changing, the indicator light went off.
Yep.
It stopped blinking.
Should you put it back on?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing an FSD thing. It actually stopped indicating when I switched lanes, which is new. In the past, in the Xpeng, when you switch lanes, you have to take the indicator off, I think, from memory. So that's an improvement. I think it's a good thing.
And was it a full thing, or was it? Was it only a half one?
It was a full, because I was changing lanes. So
you've pressed it all the way, like you didn't do it just like a halfie.
Yeah, I think that will require more testing, but I think that has improved. So I'm happy with that.
And again, it's not one of those, like it sounds like, oh, that's not such a big difference, right? But when you have to overtake possibly 40, 50, 60 times when you're on a road trip, it absolutely does make a difference.
Oh, it's a pain in the butt, seriously, having to unclick the overtake.
Yeah.
It's really annoying.
It's not the end of the world, but it is such a quality of life thing if you don't have to do it.
Totally.
Yeah.
Now, it is interesting. Would FSD Supervised have switched out of the filter lane on the right, which is a long filter lane on the right, early enough, as opposed to going up to the top and then trying to cut in like an idiot, which it kind of did on our drives.
I was going to say, I think, okay, now you say like an idiot. I would say like an optimist, that someone will let it out.
An optimist relying on the grace of other drivers in Sydney, which I'm not prepared to do, because I have awareness. I'm a human being.
Yeah, I felt like it was, always relied on other people to be nice, which, is not always the case.
In peak hour, not always the case, correct.
In fact, very, dare I say, very rarely the case.
So that awareness, that EQ, emotional quotient, I think that is something that AI will possibly initially struggle with.
But hey, everyone kept saying this hurry mode in America is completely different. So who's to say? Maybe it is. Maybe it is.
Bring it.
Maybe in hurry mode.
Because I'm always in a hurry.
Maybe it is really quite aggressive in hurry mode.
It's aggressive, and then there's like smart driving, right? I don't want to be aggressive.
Yeah.
I want to be smart.
Aggressive is not the right word.
Yeah. Take the correct lanes.
I don't mean aggressive as in intimidating. Like, that's not what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's our trip on the highway. Just a brief test with the Xpeng G6. I know we mentioned Tesla a lot, but let's face it, they're now ahead with the self-driving in Australia because they've allowed us to test it. That's a fact. Xpeng, I think, is probably the next best in that regard. It'll in
terms of development of their full self-driving system.
I think they're probably the next most likely to bring their system to Australia. So that's why we think it'll be interesting to test this against Tesla. I'm just laughing at the Tesla Model Y 2 cars ahead. It says FSD bot. You probably can't see it on the camera. So they're clearly ready as well for testing FSD. But otherwise, thanks so much for watching. And to Xpeng, thanks again for the loan, and hopefully we'll see your XNGP system in Australia not too distant future. Final thoughts, Joy?
Yeah, again, I reckon any hold up would not be from Xpeng's end. I think it'll be, someone needs to give this the green light. So I think it's actually on the Australian authorities to give it the green light.
Yep. Let's do it. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Until next time, it's happy charging.